Christmas, Olive Branch, and welcome back to our Christmas podcast here at Olive Branch. I'm Greg Harris. I'm your host and the senior pastor at Olive Branch, and glad that you're joining us for a little bit of more music from David Weiss here in episode 10. Hey, we are a podcast right now for the season of Christmas to just help you love, live, and share the Christ of Christmas, looking at a lot of different things and a lot of different angles for Christmas, just to give you something to think about, something to listen to, something to enjoy. And we're just glad you've been joining us. I think this has been some of my most enjoyable moments to sit here and listen to what David has discovered about the various Christmas hymns and carols that we love to sing. And just how he presents it is just so winsome and good. I'm really excited that he is here with us again to tell us a little bit more. And today he's going to go into Angels We Have Heard on High. It's a song I think a lot of us have heard and a lot of us have known, but maybe you don't quite know the history or the distance that it goes back into the Christian community. And David's going to kind of lead us through a lot of that information and some of the beauty that goes into this song. And he's going to sing it, and we can sing along with him. And it's just going to be an awesome opportunity. So here is David Weiss with Angels We Have Heard on High.
Man, that is beautiful music. I don't know if you've heard anything like this before, but this is likely what you would have heard if you came into a church on Easter or on Christmas for over 1,000 years. The Mass is one of the most long-standing traditions in the Christian church, and it goes back even to medieval times. So the music we have today is pretty different than this. But everything that we have today can trace back to something from an earlier time. Let's look at Angels We Have Heard on High. This is such a wonderful Christmas song, and its background is a little bit mysterious. You have to go into a couple of points in church history to look and see where this song came from. The authors for this particular song are anonymous, and we have a bit of historical record of the song coming out in France. Traditionally, it's been thought of as a French carol, and there was a publication in the 1800s that included this song. But even in France, the song was sung in churches, the verses and the choruses, for over 100 years before the publication. So where did the song come from? It's likely that the verses, Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plain, and the mountains in reply echoing their joyous strains. I'm forgetting the words but here and there. It's likely that these came from monastic Europe. It's likely that some anonymous monk wrote a Christmas song, and it was sung in his monastery's choir. It became popular. It started to spread around and eventually found its way to France, to the publication. And through there, it has transcended the ages, transcended oceans, and has found its way to our little corner of California. It's amazing how songs can travel over time and space like that. The chorus can be traced back even further than this, because the phrase Gloria in excelsis Deo, that was the phrase that the angels sung when they first came, when Jesus was born. They were singing in the skies above the fields where the shepherds were watching their sheep. Man, that would have been an incredible scene. I wonder what it looked like. So from that time, that song has been recorded. You know, the apostles or various people that followed Jesus wrote down what the angels sang through the records that they found. And we have records all the way back then of people singing hymns and continuing to vocalize God's glory in song form. The Bible is full of this. But from the time of Jesus onward into church history, there are quite a lot of songs that were sung in that early church period. And as people spread out from Jerusalem into the different corners of the world, they kept singing. And for hundreds of years, people would sing. Some songs are recorded in the Bible. There are different passages of songs that were sung. We don't have the music for those anymore. But eventually, after the Roman Empire fell, someone decided to put together the songs that had been circulating in the church for a long time. This was Pope Gregory. He wrote down and codified all these different hymns that had been sung in the church that were the traditional hymns in his day. Think of this. These were traditional hymns in 500, the year 500. Who knows how long some of these had been around? So after the songs were collected in this book, those were passed through the system of the Catholic Church into different churches all throughout Europe, and there were songs that became the staple chants that everyone would sing. They got grouped into the Mass, which was a collection of different movements, and it was used on very special occasions. It was kind of the big Christmas production of the day. And one significant movement that was in the Mass on Christmas and on Easter was the Gloria. This wasn't really sung throughout the year. It was more linked to the Christmas tradition. So in these churches, you would have sometimes a few singers, sometimes huge choirs singing Gloria in excelsis Deo, just like the angels would sing over the shepherds, over the fields outside of Bethlehem that first Christmas. Since this movement was so closely linked to the holidays, to Easter and Christmas, it developed a very strong church tradition. So through the Middle Ages and the Renaissance and all the way to modern times and to our day, that has continued to be sung, especially at Christmas now. It's moved away from the Easter largely. It's become a Christmas song. But there's this direct line that traces the Gloria back to those angels singing it, to the people who followed Jesus potentially singing musical versions of it, to the church throughout the Roman Empire, developing different songs and doing musical settings, to what was likely that angel song around Christmas, and then continuing in the tradition through the Mass in Europe, through medieval Europe, singing Gloria in excelsis Deo. It went into Latin at that point, to our modern times when it became grouped in with this angels we have heard on high. It's likely that the chorus came from this tradition, that these monks had sung this around Christmas for all these years. So it's like, oh, let's sing the Gloria. Let's put that with these wonderful verses. And the verses are all about the angels singing. So what you have in this song is this wonderful direct link all the way back to that first Christmas. When you sing Gloria in excelsis Deo, you're joining generations upon generations of Christians who have sung this pretty much as long as the church has been around. It's interesting that the authors for this are anonymous, and we don't know how many authors there were, if it was one or many over time, but it goes to show that even if you never receive honor, even if you never get increased reputation for what you do this side of heaven, your labor for the Lord is never in vain. What you do for the Lord, He can take it, He can use it, He can bring glory to His name through your work. So don't lose heart, even if no one sees what you're doing. Keep being faithful. Don't get tired of doing good. There is a reward that the Lord has for your continued faithful service. So let's join in singing this song that Christians have been singing in part or in full for almost 2,000 years.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. The newborn King, Gloria in excelsis Deo, Gloria Mary, Joseph, lend your aid as we hearts in love we raise Gloria in excelsis Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Well, I hope you guys learned something. Thank you, David, so much for just teaching us about that, and I hope you guys were able to sing along and that song means a lot more to you. I think it's something pretty cool to consider that we can be attached to the Christians throughout history. Too often, I think our music and the way we do church has kind of broken us off from the historical church, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. We are definitely a church trying to reach a particular culture at a particular time, and they were doing the same thing, but it's great to go back and hear what stirred the hearts of our brothers and sisters in history, and just to be quite honest, what is going to be the music of heaven. Oftentimes, all the cultures and all the songs and all the things that are out there are going to be found, continually approved upon, and enjoyed and discussed throughout the new earth. And I think that's just an awesome, awesome thought that these Christmas songs are something that are eternal. They're going to be with us because Jesus has overcome the grave and futility. And so I hope that you enjoyed this today. I hope that you will continue to have a very Merry Christmas, even if you're stuck at home in COVID or you're out and you're trying to buy Christmas presents right now. There's a lot of frustrating things out there. I hope this has been a breath of fresh air for your day. God bless you. Merry Christmas. And I pray that you will continue to know how to love, live, and share this Christ of Christmas. We'll see you tomorrow.